So Classic WoW is a simple game on the surface, however if you delve deep into the game's mechanics, you can find a lot of things that can help you get an edge over other players, whether to increase your DPS or to make more gold. In this video I'll be going over 20 tips every Classic WoW player should know. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so tip number 1 is to reduce your hitbox. So a lot of people don't know is that your hitbox on your character changes quite a lot, depending on how you are moving. There is something called a leeway mechanic where if you're moving and another mob is moving or a player, your hitbox will basically double in size. However, there is a way to move and not increase your hitbox, which is particularly useful when you're doing AoE farming or doing PvP. If you backpedal, you can move and your hitbox remains as if you were just standing still. This is quite useful in many situations, most notably in PvP and for mages that are doing AoE farming. Okay, so tip number 2 is to sell cloth for more. So if you guys have came across some rune cloth and you just want to get rid of it, not necessarily put it up at auction but just sell it to a vendor, you should never do this. In fact, if you use first aid, you can actually turn that rune cloth into bandages and you can actually sell it to vendors for more. 2 stacks of rune cloth sell for 1 gold 60 to a vendor, however if you turn them into bandages, you can sell them for 2 gold. This applies to all tiers of cloth. Okay, tip number 3 is Reckoning stack. So if any of you guys have been playing Paladin, you will know of the Reckoning talent and how fun it is. However, getting it to proc can only happen after you receive a critical strike. Now in the private server days, you could sit down and force a proc because if you're sitting down and you get attacked, it guarantees that you will receive a critical strike. This has been patched in the Classic WoW as we know of it today. However, if you sit down and move out of it, there was a period of time where you can still receive a critical strike, but it will also proc Reckoning. If you're playing a Paladin, you can essentially sit down and move, and if you get hit at the exact right moment, you can get a stack of Reckoning on command. This is very skillful and you need to get the exact right timing to get this done, but essentially you can get guaranteed stacks of Reckoning by using this method. Tip number 4 is what a lot of people know about, and that is how to avoid falling damage. So if you guys don't know, you can actually interrupt falling damage by changing your momentum. So if you have an ability like Blink, Ice Block, a Warrior's Charge, and some others, if you use them at the right moment, you can basically reset your falling damage count, and when you land, you can make it so that you take no damage. Okay, tip number 5 is buy an epic mount for cheaper. So as we all know, it costs about 1000 gold to get an epic mount, and if you include the reputation discount, it's about 900. However, if you get exalted with your faction in Alterac Valley, you can actually buy an epic mount for 640, which is quite a big discount when you think about it. So you may want to hold off on buying an epic mount until you get to exalted with AV, and then you can get quite a nice discount by getting it a few hundred cheaper. Okay, tip number 6 is to use a Disenchanting Alt. So many of you guys have heard of bank alts where you would send some items to like a level 1 character just so that you can have some free bag space on your main. Now this is a pretty good idea, but you should also level it up to 5 and then you can learn enchanting. After learning that, you can start disenchanting items where many times you can send a green item to that alt and you can get more gold by disenchanting items as opposed to selling it to a vendor or the auction house. With my Enchantrix add-on, I can basically see the average return for disenchanting an item, and many times it's more than you can get by selling it to a vendor or the auction house. And you can even find items on the AH that you can disenchant and make sometimes double the price that you can buy it for. Number 7 on this list is buy potions before weekends. So you see, when you're playing Classic WoW, a lot of people do their raids when it comes to the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, the prices of raid consumables is quite significantly higher. You guys may have noticed this, that if you forget to buy some potions and it's raid night, you will see that the prices are quite a bit higher, and that's because the demand for weekends for potions and raid consumables is just a lot higher. So you may as well buy them during the weekdays where the price is a bit lower. Number 8 on this list is Appraiser Addons. So there's a lot of add-ons like Trade Skill Master and Auctioneer that are basically going to tell you what an item that you find is worth. And the way it works is that it basically scans an auction house and records all of the prices people are selling it for. So that way, if you come across an item and you don't know as to how expensive it is, there are quite a few add-ons that can tell you what it used to sell for in the past. So it's pretty useful if you're just new to the game and you don't know exactly what the prices of things are. Okay, number 9 on this list is buying XP boosts. So this is for you guys that already have a main and you're thinking about leveling up an alt. Well, you can level up an alt way quicker than you could normally. You see, there's a mage leveling meta where a mage can pretty much kill massive amounts of mobs in a dungeon, things like Scarlet Monastery, Moradon and Stratform. These are some of the craziest power leveling dungeons in the game. And I'm not even joking, but you can get 100k XP an hour starting at Scarlet Monastery. The prices of these are quite expensive, things like 4 gold per wing. You will probably be spending something like 40 gold per hour if you're with one of these one pull mages. But if you have the gold, you can basically level up an alt way quicker than what you could in the past. Okay, number 10 on this list is a second potion. So as we all know, potions share a cooldown with mana potions and health potions. However, if you use a Whipperroot tuber, you can actually restore a large amount of health and it doesn't trigger the cooldown on potions. The Whipperroot tuber is a consumable that you can get from Feralas, where after completing a prerequisite quest, you can loot some of these plants in the area and get some Whipperroot tubers. These are particularly useful in PvE and PvP. Imagine how much easier Veilastraz would be if everybody was using a Whipperroot tuber. If you're struggling with that raid boss, it could mean the difference between winning and losing. And needless to say, it's very useful in PvP as well. Number 11 is lava jumping. Now, if any of you guys have been playing Classic WoW for a while, you will know of lava jumping. It's basically a way of not getting hit by the fire damage that you get from being in lava. This is particularly useful in Blackrock Mountain and even in Molten Core. If Ragnaros kicks you into the lava, you need to spam the jump button so you don't trigger the fire damage. If you do that correctly and you get the right timing, you can actually take 0 damage from being in lava as you jump out of it before the damage ticks. Number 12 on this list is Ghetto Hearthstone. So this is something that quite a few people take advantage of, particularly people that aren't playing the mage class. But if you're in a group in a dungeon and the party disbands, you will have 1 minute before you get sent back to the place that you have your Hearthstone set. Now, if your Hearthstone is off cooldown, it will reset the cooldown upon being teleported back. However, if it is off cooldown, you will still be sent to the place that you set your Hearthstone. It's essentially like a Hearthstone with no cooldown. Number 13 is Gathermate 2. So this is a really nice add-on where if you're gathering stuff in the open world, it will log it on your map. And then you can see exactly where you picked up that herb or mining node. And what is most useful is that it actually displays the icon on your minimap. And if you get in range where your herbalism and mining node detection spells are active, it will actually disappear and show a circle where you see the yellow dot if it's there or not. So if you're farming things like Black Lotus or the rich thorium veins, you can see exactly when you need to move, and it just makes your pathing a lot more efficient, as you know the precise location of where it will spawn. Number 14 on this list is really important, and that is to avoid Daze. So any of you guys will know, leveling up a character in Classic, the worst thing is when you're just trying to run from one point of the map to the other, and you get hit by a mob and you get dazed. This is so common and it's really annoying. However, you can actually move in a direction and not get hit by Daze. So if you're running in a direction and you jump and face the enemy slightly, it will be impossible for you to get hit by Daze, as the Daze mechanic only triggers if your back is hit. However, if you jump and turn to face the enemy slightly, it doesn't count as being hit in the back. So as you can see, I'm moving around and a mob that should be dazing me every time it hits just can't slow me down, despite that I'm moving in a direction. Number 15 on this list is the AB shortcut. So Arathi Basin has just came out, and there's actually a good way to traverse the map if you're playing as a class that has some kind of slow fall. So of course mages have the slow fall ability, however you can also use this with the Norgenfogger elixir. You can actually jump from the lumber mill all the way to the center of the map with the slow fall mechanic. So if you jump off the cliff with your epic mount, dismount and then use a slow fall ability, and it's just a massive shortcut that can save you a lot of travel time. Not to mention it's really fun as well. Okay, number 16 on this list is superior potions. So potions in Classic WoW are quite expensive, however that only applies to major health potions. Major health potions on my server are about $1, and you can actually get a superior healing potion, which only heals you for slightly less, even though it's more than 5 times cheaper. One superior healing potion is only like 17 silver, and it pretty much does the same job as a major healing potion. Which if you're just doing stuff in the open world and doing dungeons, you don't really need a major healing potion. so you could save some money by buying them instead. Okay, number 17 on this list is Demonic Runes. So demonic runes are really nice. I think it's one of the most underrated items in the game. So there's these items called dark runes and demonic runes. It basically gives you a large amount of mana in exchange for health, and the best part about them is that they don't share a cooldown with a mana potion. So it's kind of like the mage's mana ruby, except a mage's mana ruby doesn't restore as much mana as dark and demonic runes. So if you're playing a healer or a caster DPS, you need to get your hands on some demonic runes or some dark runes because they are just incredibly useful in PvE encounters. Okay, number 18 on this list is Purchasable Summons. So when you have a new character and you're just trying to get the flight points, you're going to have to be walking around pretty much everywhere. However, on some servers, you can actually find in chat channels people selling summons to certain locations. Now the way it works is that we'll multi-box with a few characters, and they'll basically position their characters all across the map, places like Winterspring, Scarlet Monastery, and Gadgetzan, where if you pay a fee, you can actually get summoned to that place by a warlock. If you have these on your server, they can save you a tremendous amount of time. Number 19 on this list is faster auto loot. So this is something that's pretty important if you're playing a class that is just gold farming and it takes quite a while to loot the mobs. An add-on called Leatrix Plus can actually make it so that you loot mobs quicker. It kind of just cancels an animation where you're picking stuff up, and you can basically loot things quicker than you would normally be able to. Number 20 on this list is further camera distance. So if you guys have ever seen one of the high level players of classic play, people in the Apes Guild and stuff, a lot of them will have their camera way further than you would normally be able to. By typing in a command into the game, you can make your camera distance go way further back and you can just see way more stuff. Although this doesn't look very aesthetic, if you just want to perform better in classic WoW and see more stuff, this is really handy. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. This is vaulty, signing out.